Don't ignore this psalm. You wake up, you get dressed, you do what needs to be done. Nothing is technically wrong, and yet something feels hollow. You're not breaking down. You're not falling apart. You're just going through the motions. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because when you're just going through the motions, no one notices. Not even you. Don't ignore this psalm. There's a kind of tiredness that doesn't come from pain. It comes from repetition. You still pray. You still show up. You still say, I'm fine. Life continues externally normal. Bills get paid. Messages get answered. Responsibilities are handled. But internally, there's a quiet fracture. Not loud enough to scare you. Not dramatic enough to stop you. Just enough to make everything feel heavy. This is the state Psalm 73 speaks to. Not rebellion, not despair, but internal crisis while everything still works. When faith becomes routine. When obedience feels mechanical. When you're faithful but not alive. When you're just going through the motions. If that's where you are right now, this psalm was written for you. Not for people who stopped believing, but for people who kept believing while silently questioning everything. Psalm 73 was written by Asaph, a worship leader, someone who knew the language of faith, someone who knew how to stand in God's presence. And yet, this psalm begins with confession so honest that many believers never say it out loud. Not because it's sinful, but because it's uncomfortable. Psalm 73 is not polished faith. It is faith under tension. Surely God is good to Israel, to those who are pure in heart. That's the statement he knows is true. But then comes a confession he feels ashamed to admit. But as for me, my feet had almost slipped. I had nearly lost my foothold. This is not rebellion. This is exhaustion. This is someone who kept walking while internally losing balance. Someone who didn't stop believing, but stopped feeling grounded. Let that land. Because many people don't fall away from God. They just lose their footing while continuing forward. Asaph looks around, and he sees something disturbing. For I envy the arrogant. When I saw the prosperity of the wicked, they seem fine. They seem unbothered. They seem at ease, while he's doing everything right and still feels empty. This is the modern crisis. Scrolling through lives that look lighter than yours. Watching people who don't pray seem happier. Seeing others succeed while you stay faithful and stuck. And suddenly, faith feels unfair. Not wrong, just unrewarding. This is what it feels like when you're just going through the motions. You're still a believer, still responsible, still functioning. But internally you wonder, is this worth it? Did I miss something? Why does faith feel heavier than freedom? Psalm 73 doesn't shame that question. It names it. If you've ever felt faithful but empty, obedient but disconnected, present but internally absent, stay with this psalm, because it doesn't end where it begins. If this resonates with you, type "still here" in the comments, not because you have the answers, but because you're still standing. Even if you're just going through the motions, in the next part, Psalm 73 goes deeper into the dangerous thought most believers never confess. Surely in vain I have kept my heart pure. And that's where everything starts to turn. There's a moment in Psalm 73 where the prayer stops sounding safe, not because it becomes angry, but because it becomes honest. This is the moment most people edit out of their faith. Surely in vain I have kept my heart pure, and have washed my hand in innocence. Read that slowly, not as rebellion, but as fatigue. This is not someone rejecting God. This is someone who stayed faithful and quietly wondered if it mattered. That thought alone carries guilt, because faith is supposed to be rewarding. Obedience is supposed to bring peace. But here is someone saying, I did everything right and still feel empty. This is a thought that shows up when you're just going through the motions. You don't stop believing. You just stop feeling convinced that your effort makes a difference. You keep praying, but without expectation. You keep obeying, but without joy. Faith becomes maintenance, not intimacy. Today, this sounds like, I serve, but I feel unseen. I stay faithful, but nothing changes. I keep showing up, but my heart isn't there anymore. And you don't say it out loud, because you're afraid of what it means. So you keep moving, externally normal, internally disconnected, just going through the motions. All day long I've been afflicted, and every morning brings new punishments. This isn't dramatic suffering. This is daily heaviness. Waking up tired of being strong, carrying responsibility without relief, feeling spiritually sore, but not injured enough to stop. Take a breath here, because Psalm 73 is naming something subtle and deeply modern. Asaph isn't jealous because others are rich. He's tired because they seem unburdened. They have no struggles. Their bodies are healthy and strong. While he's carrying invisible weight, faith weight, moral weight, emotional weight, the weight of caring. This is where comparison becomes corrosive, because when you're already tired, watching others thrive without effort feels unbearable. You start asking questions you never thought you would. Why am I trying so hard? Why does obedience feel heavier than rebellion? Why am I the one exhausted? Psalm 73 does not rush past this. It sits with it. If you've ever felt like faith added weight, instead of removing it, you're not failing. You're standing exactly where the psalm stands. Then something interesting happens. Asaph stops himself. If I had spoken out like that, I would have betrayed your children. He doesn't suppress the thought because it's false. He suppresses it because he's afraid of its impact. This is the believer's dilemma. Feeling one thing, saying another, holding tension silently. This is what it means to be just going through the motions. You don't walk away. You don't explode. You just contain. And containment over time turns faith into fatigue. When I try to understand all this, it troubled me deeply. This is the breaking point. Not because life got worse, but because thinking became exhausting. Try and make sense of faith. Trying to justify obedience. Trying to reconcile effort with emptiness. Let the trouble sit, because this is not where the psalm ends. Psalm 73 does not offer answers yet. First, it leads Asaph to a place, a shift, a reorientation, not a solution, but a change of perspective. If you've ever carried questions in silence, type "still standing" in the comments, not because you're strong, but because you didn't walk away. In the next part, everything changes with a single movement. Then I entered the sanctuary of God. And that's where clarity begins, not by removing the struggle, but by reframing reality. Up to this point, Psalm 73 has been all tension, no answers, no relief, just questions looping inside a faithful mind. Then something subtle happens. Not a miracle, not a solution, a movement. Then I entered the sanctuary of God. Then I understood their final destiny. Notice what changed. Life didn't suddenly improve. The wicked didn't disappear. The pressure didn't lift. Perspective shifted, because this matters. Psalm 73 does not say, "Then my problems ended." It says, "Then I saw differently." The sanctuary was not just a building. It was a place where Asaph stopped measuring life by immediate outcomes, a place where comparison lost its power, a place where the timeline expanded. When you're just going through the motions, your vision shrinks. You only see today, this week, this exhaustion. The sanctuary stretches time again. Surely you place them on slippery ground. You cast them down to ruin. This is not gloating. It's realism. Asaph realizes that ease is not stability. Comfort is not security. And surface peace is not depth. What looked effortless was fragile. Today, this looks like people who seem fine, until they're not. Lives that look light, until something collapses. Psalm 73 reminds us, not everything that looks easy is rooted, and not everything that feels heavy is wasted. How suddenly are they destroyed, completely swept away by terrors. This is a revenge language. It's contrast, a realization that a life without depth has no buffer when reality hits. And suddenly, Asaph's suffering takes on a different meaning. Let that reframe settle, because this is where faith shifts from transaction to transformation. Then Psalm 73 turns inward. When my heart was grieved and my spirit embittered, I was senseless and ignorant. I was a brute beast before you. This is humility, not shame. Asaph isn't condemning himself. He's recognizing what comparison did to him. It distorted his vision. It hardened his tone. It pulled him out of alignment. This happens when you're just going through the motions. You keep doing the right things, but your inner posture slowly shifts. Resentment sneaks in. Bitterness forms quietly. Faith becomes transactional, not because you're evil, but because you're tired. And then comes one of the most intimate lines of the psalm. Yet I am always with you. You hold me by my right hand. Read that slowly. Asaph didn't move first. God was already there, even in the confusion, even in the envy, even in the silent questioning. This is where many people break down, because they realize something painful and beautiful. They were never abandoned. They were distracted. You guide me with your counsel, and afterward you will take me into glory. This is no longer about reward. This is about direction. Not, you'll make it easy, but I'll walk with you. Not, you'll understand everything, but you won't walk alone. This is a shift from mechanical faith to relational faith, from checking boxes to being held, from surviving spiritually to being guided. Whom have I in heaven but you? And earth has nothing I desire besides you. This is not emotional hype. This is clarity after exhaustion. Not saying life is easy, but saying God is enough. Let that truth breathe. If you're realizing you weren't abandoned, just tired, type "still held" in the comments. Psalm 73 started with slipping feet. It's now ending with held hands. But there's one final truth left, a grounding statement. For anyone who feels like they're just going through the motions, Psalm 73 does not end loudly. No victory music, no dramatic reversal. It ends grounded, which is exactly what exhausted people need. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. This is not denial, it's acceptance. Asaph doesn't say he feels strong. He says his strength has a source. Let this line settle, because it releases pressure. Psalm 73 acknowledges something most people fight against. Your heart will fail sometimes. Your energy will drop. Your emotions will fluctuate. Faith is not the absence of weakness. Faith is knowing where weakness leans. When you're just going through the motions, you think the problem is that you're tired. But Psalm 73 reveals something deeper. The problem isn't tiredness. It's self-sourcing, trying to generate meaning, strength, and motivation from yourself. God is my portion forever. A portion is what sustains you, what you draw from, what you return to. This means God is not an accessory to life, not a motivation boost, but the source you're allowed to lean on when you have nothing left to give. Today, this sounds like permission. Permission to stop pretending you're fine. Permission to rest without quitting faith. Permission to be carried instead of performing. You don't need to feel inspired, to be held. Those who are far from you will perish. You destroy all who are unfaithful to you. This isn't fear-based language here. It's orientation. Distance from God is not punished. It's unsustainable, not because God withdraws, but because the soul was never designed to source itself. But as for me, it is good to be near God. I have made the sovereign Lord my refuge. I will tell of all your deeds. This is the final shift, not from weakness to strength, but from effort to refuge. Let refuge replace performance. If you're just going through the motions right now, you don't need a breakthrough. You don't need more discipline. You don't need to fix your faith. You need nearness. And nearness does not require energy, only honesty. So if today all you can do is show up tired, that's enough. If all you can offer is silence, that's still prayer. If all you have is questions, God can hold those too. If this psalm met you where you are, type near in the comments, not as a declaration of strength, but as a quiet choice of proximity. You woke up, you showed up, you kept going, but now you know something different. You're not just going through the motions, you're being held, even here. This part is not meant to rush. It's meant to stay. Because some people don't need new words. They need familiar truth repeated slowly until their nervous system believes it. Right now, you don't need to feel inspired. You don't need to feel strong. You don't need to feel certain. Psalm 73 already accounted for your fatigue. My flesh and my heart may fail. That sentence alone removes pressure because it admits weakness without disqualifying faith. Let yourself not perform here. Faith is not proven by how motivated you feel. Faith is proven by where you return. When motivation is gone, when you're just going through the motions, returning still counts. Spiritual tiredness doesn't mean you drifted away. Sometimes it means you stayed too long. Without rest, you carried responsibility. You carried consistency. You carried expectation. And Psalm 73 meets you after the carrying, not before. This silence is intentional. Today might look ordinary. Nothing dramatic. Nothing broken enough to cry out. Nothing fixed enough to celebrate. Just another day. Psalm 73 says, "Ordinary days still belong to God. Even tired obedience is still obedience. Going through the motions is not the same as being fake. It's often what faith looks like. When emotions lag behind truth, you're not pretending, you're persevering. And perseverance doesn't always feel heroic. Sometimes it feels dull. Inhale slowly. Exhale without forcing peace. God, I don't feel distant, just tired. I don't feel lost, just heavy. And I bring that honestly." Psalm 73 doesn't say, "I feel close to God." It says, "It is good to be near God." Nearness is not a feeling, it's a position. You can be near even when numb. You can be near even when unsure. You can be near even when silent. Let near replace strong. When you open your phone tired, when you finish the day empty, when you pray without words, this still counts. You are still near. So if today all you did was show up, that was enough. If all you did was listen, that was enough. If all you did was stay, that was faith. If this quiet repetition is helping you breathe, type "still here" in the comments. Not to testify, just to stay connected. We're not moving fast now, because healing rarely does. In the next part, we'll gently turn this psalm into a daily anchor, something you can return to on ordinary, heavy days. This part is not about understanding more. It's about having somewhere to land when the day feels long and heavy. Psalm 73 doesn't need to be explained every time. It needs to be returned to at the beginning of the day, before checking messages, before scanning problems. Repeat quietly, "My flesh and my heart may fail." You're not predicting failure. You're removing the pressure to be strong. Let your body hear permission. Ask yourself one simple question. What am I carrying today? Not to fix it, not to judge it, just to name it. Tiredness named loses some of its weight. Most people don't collapse from trauma. They erode from accumulation, deadlines, expectations, consistency without relief. Psalm 73 speaks to accumulation, not catastrophe. Later in the day, when energy drops and motivation disappears, return to this line. It is good to be near God. You don't need to feel it. Just let it sit. Nearness doesn't require emotion. Stay there. When you notice yourself comparing, their ease, their success, their apparent peace, say quietly, "I don't see the whole story." Psalm 73, learn that clarity doesn't come from comparison. It comes from perspective. Scrolling is modern comparison. Psalm 73 is ancient wisdom for a digital wound. You're allowed to look away. At night, when you feel you didn't do enough, return to this truth. God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. You are not sustained by how productive the day was. You are sustained by where you leaned. Exhale responsibility. Inhale refuge. Some days will still feel empty. That doesn't mean the ritual failed. It means you're human. Psalm 73 was written for days that repeat themselves. Going through the motions does not mean you lost faith. It often means faith is carrying you while you're too tired to notice. If this feels like something you could return to daily, type anchor in the comments, not as commitment, as availability. Night doesn't usually bring new problems. It brings space, and space makes everything louder. Thoughts you avoided all day. Step forward. Questions resurface. Comparisons replay. Conversations repeat. This is where Psalm 73 becomes shelter. If your body is tired, but your mind won't rest, you're not broken. You're human. Night reveals what busyness covers. Return gently to this line. My flesh and my heart may fail. At night, this sounds different. It's not philosophy. It's permission. Let your shoulders drop. During the day, you can function on momentum. At night, momentum runs out, and what remains is truth, not dramatic truth, just honest truth. I'm tired. I did my best. I don't have clarity. Psalm 73 does not argue with this state. It stays with it. When thoughts start looping, what if I had chosen differently? Why does everyone else seem ahead? Why am I still here? Say quietly, this is not the full story. Psalm 73 reminds us that night thoughts are incomplete. Incomplete thoughts don't need answers now. At night, don't try to explain faith. Just return to presence. It is good to be near God. Near is enough, even without understanding, even without feeling. Peace is not numbness. Peace is safety without explanation. Psalm 73 doesn't sedate the mind. It grounds the soul. Inhale not deeply, just gently. Exhale without trying to empty the mind. Let thoughts pass without following them. Some nights, you won't feel reassured. That doesn't mean God left. It means reassurance is not always emotional. Sometimes it's positional. You're still near. God, I don't need answers tonight. I just need rest. Hold what I can't carry into sleep. If sleep doesn't come quickly, that's okay. This psalm is not a switch. It's a companion. You can listen again. You can rest in repetition. If you're listening to this at night, type here in the comments. No story, no explanation, just presence. The night doesn't need to be solved. It only needs to be survived with gentleness. In the next part, we'll close this journey by weaving everything together into a final loop of reassurance, so the psalm can live with you, not end here. This is not an ending. It's a place you can come back to, because life doesn't resolve in one listening. And Psalm 73 was never meant to be consumed. It was meant to be inhabited. You woke up, you showed up, you did what needed to be done. Nothing was technically wrong, and yet something felt empty. That's where this psalm met you. Not to fix you, not to motivate you, but to stay with you. Going through the motions is not failure. It's often what faith looks like when life becomes repetitive and strength becomes limited. Psalm 73 doesn't shame this season. It stabilizes it. Let these truths settle one by one. Your heart may fail, but you are not abandoned. Your energy may drop, but you are not unsupported. Your faith may feel quiet, but it is still alive. No rush. Psalm 73 never promised comfort. It promised nearness. Yet I am always with you. You hold me by my right hand. Even when you don't feel held, you are. After this video ends, life will still be there. Tasks, messages, decisions. Psalm 73 doesn't remove those. It gives you a way to carry them without carrying them alone. Tomorrow morning, you can return to one line. In the afternoon, another. At night, just a word near. This psalm is modular. It adapts to your capacity. Some days, you'll feel grounded. Other days, you'll feel numb. Neither disqualifies you. Faith does not demand consistency of emotion, only continuity of return. God, if all I can offer is presence, let that be enough today. Let silence finish what words cannot. If you need to hear this again, you're allowed to. If this feels like background support, let it stay on. This isn't a performance. It's a refuge. If this psalm helped you stay steady, type near or still here in the comments. No testimony needed, just connection. You're not just going through the motions. You're being held. Even here,